Have you ever wondered how did you come through and get through so many hard situations, tough situations that would have taken out someone else? When did you actually realize that it was God who actually held you up and kept you from falling? Because it only can be God that gave us the strength to endure and get through hard times. It may have seemed unbearable and just not possible to get through those things, but God made a way. God made it possible to see good out of that situation, whatever it was. God made a way so that you wouldn't constantly hurting over and over again for life because of those situations. At one point or another, God dried your tears. We didn't know at the time, but God always knew that it was purpose behind what you was going through. God always knew that He had a plan for you. And what was going on with you currently was necessary for your growth. It was necessary for Him to teach you and train you. But at the time, you felt like your world was falling apart. Now I understand, because of God, because He's showing me so much, that nothing that I went through, nothing that happened in my life was for no reason. Everything had a purpose behind it. And everything that I'm learning and everything that God is teaching me through my mistakes, through my journey, is going to lead up to everything that He has planned for me. I can definitely feel a change in me. I can definitely see a change in me. So I know that God is taking me somewhere. I'm nothing like the person that I used to be. And I'm thankful to God for that. Because at one point in my life, I didn't think that I could ever, nothing could ever be different for me. But see, it wasn't for me to know at that point. That's how a lot of us get caught up in discouragement and give up. It's because we have that mentality, and instead of us just continuing on the journey that we're on, we just stop. We just give up. We just let go. And I can admit, we don't realize that God is leading us, guiding us. But that's the reason why God put people in your path. It may not be many people, but it's people that you can see and you can recognize that there is hope for all of us. But you gotta open your eyes to see. You can't ignore things that's right in front of your face. When God is trying to show you something and you just turn your head or ignore it after so many times, God is going to be like, well, I guess you don't want to improve. I guess you don't want to do better. But guess what? The good thing about God is He never leaves us. So until the very end, He's still going to be trying. That's how much our Father loves us. He's going to try over and over and over again to get through to us. Personally, I chose to give it all up for God. You know, for everything that He has done for me, I choose Him, not the world. You know? And I think about all of these things that He has brought me out of and everything that He's continuing to do and show me like clear as day. There's no way that I can turn back. You know, like Lot's wife did. She turned back. She turned back to whatever she thought she was missing. And it destroyed her. So I know you feel the same way. Like I'm not, that's not an option. I'm just going to keep on this path, this journey where God got me going. I'm just fine where I'm at. I'm just fine where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going, but I know God don't make no mistakes, and I know that He's going to take me to a place way better than where I was. And so I just got through reading Genesis, and you know, the last story is about Joseph. So, you know, at the end of the story, his dad died, you know, and his brothers were just so afraid because, you know, they the ones sold him, threw him in the pit, sold him into slavery, just trying to get rid of him, just mistreated him. And then after that, he just kept going through stuff over and over again, like it was one thing after another. But see, he held on to the promises of God, the dreams that God gave him. He knew that God was taking him somewhere, you know, somewhere. He knew, he kept his faith because he knew what God showed him was real. And he knew, he may not have known exactly the reason why he was going through those things, that you know, that it would lead up to where he ended up. Maybe, maybe not. But I know one thing, he kept his faith strong enough that wherever he went, he kept that favor. God kept that favor over his life. So even though he was thrown into prison, even though he was a servant and all of this type of thing, he still had favor. his favor even spilled over to the people that was over him, you know. And he ended up in a position where he still took care of the same brothers that sold him into slavery, just treated him like a dog. And they were so afraid that Joseph was going to retaliate after their dad died. And Joseph just told them, basically, and I'm just paraphrasing, I'm not worried about that, because everything that y'all did to me, everything that y'all meant for evil, God turned it around for my good. Because that's what happens. Joseph wasn't bitter. Even though he didn't do anything to deserve what they did to him, he wasn't bitter. He was more hurt than anything. But he still loved them, and he still made sure that he did what God wanted him to do, was to take care of his family once that famine came through, That he could have chose a different route. But see, that heart, that's the reason why God chose Joseph. Because God seen his heart. He knows us. He created us. And God knew that Joseph was going to do the right thing. That's the reason why he got the favor that he got. So I just want you guys to know, don't give up, and don't change who you are just because people are evil towards you. Keep a good heart. Keep the heart that God put inside of you. Because you're going to always win. God is going to always show you favor. And he's going to put you in a position that you're going to have to help the same ones that did you dirty. And you're just going to have to be humbled enough and just know that God wants to redeem them. God wants to save them as well. Even they're his children, just like we're his children. So if God tells us to do something, we just be obedient with love in our hearts, with forgiveness in our hearts. Because it's not our battle, it's God's. And he's going to take care of anything that any of us do. We're going to have to pay for that. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but you're going to pay for it. And I think Joseph's brothers' punishment was just basically seeing that Joseph was doing exactly what he told them that he was going to do. And they would serve him, and they would bow down to him. That was Joseph's vindication. And he did that humbly. He showed them love and care humbly. But God prepared that table right in front and let them see his greatness. And it's going to be the same for you. And you may not have to actually do everything that Joseph did, but God wants us to forgive, even if it's forgiveness from a distance. We don't have to be close to these people, but God wants us to forgive because he forgave us. It's important. That part was standing out to me. I just wanted to come on and share. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.